More mindless musings of friends while I watch someone else suck at Dark Souls.
So, about this whole censoring, I think a lot of the things that get censored aren't meant for little kids anyway. Like Xenosaga. Xenosaga is not a story for kids in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Little kids would not be able to maintain attention because the story is so entwined with Gnosticism and these philosophical concepts. There's no way a little kid could maintain attention on that.
But
So censoring that game, especially in such a stupid way as to remove all blood, make the one of the most dramatic and poignant scenes pointless and stupid looking. Why? To protect kids that aren't ever going to play the game. It wasn't even for kids. It wasn't even aimed at kids.
it's a complex thing when you think about it. Like, all of that stuff is there, Carol, but that's kind of like the icing on the cake. Like, there's a lot of action in Xenosaga 2. There's a lot of robots versus monsters in between everything you just mentioned.
Not as much as you would think. I have, Game Shark and PS2, and I put in codes to where I could basically fight once and be level 99, have all skills, Just because I wanted to really be able to seriously focus on the story of this game. And now, of course, I'd played it the proper way without cheats more than once. But this one particular time I wanted to do it the proper way, or the not proper way, with cheats to just be able to completely focus solely on the story. And I discovered that the game is Xenosaga was like the first one was over 30 hours of pretty much only cutscenes.
Yeah, the cutscenes are insanely long in Xenosaga.
And yet
Yeah,
it's
they're
only
pretty
like a
long.
40-hour game. So it's not that much of fighting. Episode 2 had the way the cutscenes played out was a bit weirder than in episode 1. There were a lot more action-based cutscenes, but that was still over 20 hours. And episode 3 was, I think, around 40 to 45 hours of cutscenes of movie in this game. It was really a high number, of hours in this game where it was strictly me having as few fights as I could get away with and focusing on just getting through these scenes and these story things.
Ever think that Xenosaga's story is too good to be a video game? Because I have numerous times. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some video games with very good stories. But I almost feel like in Xenosaga's case, the fact that it's a game itself holds it back. Like, this should have been a TV show, there should have been a book series, there should have been something else, because I always found I always had less fun playing the game than I had watching the game, if that makes sense.
Well, that's because it's a game that you more watch than play. But yeah, I agree. I think that it probably would have been better off as an anime series.
Oh, you mean like the one that it got?
Yeah,
No.
unfortunately.
No, not at all like what it
Because
got.
that's kind of the sad truth. I mean, regardless of the games, if it was an anime series or something like that, instead, it'd probably just sadly turn out like that again.
And not all anime series turn out as sad as that one.
Yeah, I honestly think Xenosaga's story, as a game, is... It would have been a lot better if that game series was made in the current era of games, or even the PS4 era. Maybe PS3, but probably PS4 and beyond. Because the longer game consoles, or gaming in general, has just been going on, it's becoming surprisingly more story-driven. And you get a couple of really good examples back in the day, like Metal Gear Solid and FF7, but those games are very much the exceptions and not the rule. But, like, nowadays, it's just everywhere.
Do you think it would have been better if it had basically gotten a David Cage treatment?
Explain.
David Cage or Telltales.
Like a
Where
choice
it really
based-
is a story. Screw the fighting against the Gnosis or against the other soldiers or what have you. Have it more just choice to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah, I could see that. Granted, you run into some issues when it comes to continuity. Like, you know, then what's the good ending? What's the bad ending? Which one is canon?
See, I like. While I like some David Cage games, like Detroit Become Human, love that. I don't think that type of thing would have worked for Xenosaga. Xenosaga is a very defined story. I think a lot of what holds Xenosaga back from it having been more, what kept it from being as popular as it should have been, with as amazing as it was that the story was based on something that most people don't understand, have no idea even exists. Most people have no understanding of Gnosticism, don't have any clue what it's about. Some people understand that it was an early sect of Christianity, but the details don't make any sense. And even within the confines of Gnosticism, things don't make sense, and things are not necessarily set in stone.
The problem with Xenosaga is people didn't exactly know what to think of it at first. Like, I'm talking like all the way back with Xenosaga 1. Like, people back in the day were like, is this a sequel to Xenogears? Is this a prequel?
No,
What
that
is
was
this?
always made clear that it never was actually associated with Xenogears.
But
So
then
it was
you
its own story.
But then you get like all these things that carry over from that.
Fan service.
Yeah, but that was a
Fan
mistake.
service. They should not have had those
Oh,
things.
there it
They
is.
should not have had Nephilim look like Ellie. They should not have had Abel look like Fei Fong Wong. They should not have had Chaos's episode 1 outfit look like the prisoners that the kids love.
And the Zohar, don't forget that. That's the big one.
That they should have. It's almost kind of like Xenogears was a rough draft of an idea that they put together, and Xenosaga was a second treatise working from that.
Xenogears should not have been episode 5.
Here's the thing about Xenogears. It's by no means a good game. But it does have a lot of very good ideas in there. Like, everything with Migan, I love. I love that character. She's a phenomenal villain. Is it Migan? Is that how you pronounce it?
Miang?
Miang. Everything about that character.
The problem with Xenogears is there wasn't a proper European police.
Valid point.
Too cool for us. Apparently had church motifs, they wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. Same thing with Xenosaga, but apparently, we were good enough for episode 2. The crap one.
I still love it. So, Phil, the normally busy on Thursdays, that was only one Thursday a month with the Tails and Ales.
Oh, right. Okay.
But they're not doing Tails and Ales anymore because there's no one to take the dogs out to there. However, next Thursday, I will probably be gone because of the, I forget what they're calling it. Basically, it's yoga and a beer.
Oh, wow. Sounds pretty great.
Yeah, one of the local breweries is actually doing this. They are charging people for the yoga class, but all the money goes to a local shelter.
I'm hearing no price tags on the beer, so this is sounding better already.
Yeah, if you do after the yoga class, you get a free beer.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of their own. And they make several. This is the company, this is Gnarly Barley, that had the couple beers that I actually liked. Because I hate beer.
Oh, okay.
That stuff's nasty.
Yeah,
However-
is that the one I have the shut of? Rich.
Gnarly Barley, yeah.
That's
So they had one they made that they put, I think it was like 300 pounds in the vat of this white chocolate chip bread pudding with Cocoa Puffs in the vat when they were fermenting this stout. It was called Puff Puff Pastry Stout. And it was really good. I tried a whole thimbleful, and it was really tasty, and then I got a migraine. And then they made another one that had Girl Scout cookies, the Thin Mints. You know what I'm talking about, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so they put those in the vat, and it was Stout's Honor was the name of that one. Once again, it was a stout. And I had my little sample, and I really liked it. It was super tasty. And then I got a migraine.
Oh dear.
Okay.
So I was talking to my sister about it, and she's like, oh yeah, stouts give me a migraine every time. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I finally find 2 beers I really like, and I can't drink them because they'll put me in the hospital. There was a third one they had, and it was around Christmas time, about, like a year and a half ago. And it was, it had ginger in it. It was a gingerbread thing. And I love ginger a lot. And I really liked that. It was, I think, an IPA. So I tried my sample of that. Thought, oh, this is tasty. And then I didn't drink anymore because, I was driving. And so I only had the one tiny thimbleful. Because, I'm really hardcore about don't drink and drive.
Hey, Phil. I have a question for you. What's your take on the Macross franchise? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you?
It's a licensing nightmare.
But there was actually some very big news today.
Okay, don't. I've been through this news like 7 times, so don't.
Well, they made what? Really? You've gone through this with other people today?
Well, over the past 2 decades.
No, but apparently Big West and Harmony Gold, basically the company that held the distribution rights for America, and Harmony Gold finally reached which was a Japanese company, finally reached an agreement where they can actually distribute the entire franchise internationally.
So they should goddamn well do. The problem is that it should have been like that from the very start, instead of hiring Tobey Maguire to do Macross.
What?
Oh, you don't know. Never mind.
Did he dub a character?
Yeah, he dubbed a character originally.
Because I know they somehow ADV got the original series and they redubbed it. And I think Vic Mignogna played the main character.
So they were very, very stupid originally. The way they dubbed it and localized it in the West was the kind of bunched it up with 2 of the shows.
Robotech.
Yeah, Robotech. They called it like a silly, fancy title instead of releasing them one, together. And they tried loosely saying the dub like, oh, these 3 stories are connected, even though, they're not.
No, this happens 100 years later. That's why everything looks different.
But it's always been a bit of a licensing nightmare with Macross, because it's like they just keep pumping out new shows, don't they? Like once every 10 years to Macross, and they never make it overseas because it's just a nightmare to get that thing on TV screens.
I don't like Macross that much. I know it has its fans, and a good victory for them, I guess. But
it's the second big mecha series next to Gundam. It's always been second place.
I don't like the pop music aspect to it. I get.
Yeah, but can you tell that it's clearly post Top Gun? Like it's intentionally designed to be Top Gun from day one.
You can be my wingman any day.
Like the whole thing is about songs, jet pilots, and action sequences.
I don't know what Macross like.
Well, take it or leave it. There are some good shows, there are some bad ones. The better Macross shows end up being the OVAs. The ones that are in like 4 episodes anyway.
I kind of like the more weirder aspects of the show. Like who are the giant people? I like the giant people.
The Zentradi.
I kind of like that because they're kind of like the Klingons. They're the bad guys at first, then we make peace with them. So you basically have an entire race of people. Some of them are giants living on Earth. That's pretty fun.
One of the subplots in Macross Frontier is a main character, as a human being, is in love with one that's like 7 times his size.
Oh, I remember that one from Frontier. And when she's in her like humanoid form or whatever, normal, she can only be a kid. So it's like a bizarre relationship. Like she can only be a mature adult as this towering giant.
Yeah. It's either one of the two. You either take her in like a childlike form, which she claims is like a larva form, or she can be, actually an adult, but she's like 7 times your size. This is strange.
I just like that concept though. Like
No, but you
I know
never.
places my brain just went.
Yeah, but do you remember the thing in the show where it's just like she doesn't need a mech?
no, she is the mech.
She is the mech. That's the thing. Like she's
The places
colossal.
my mind just went.
It's a good job you're recording, aren't you? Fiendish. You fiendish little.
Notice how the chat got noticeably more silly the moment Phil joined.
Because Phil's the one who keeps us together. Phil's the glue of this group.
I don't think so. I think
And
it's you,
he's the
Joe.
happy one.
Me, I'm the punching bag.
Yeah, no punching bag.
Everything's Joe's fault.
Exactly.
Isn't it, Joe?
How dare I mispronounce that one thing?
I
Yeah,
had
how
a flat
dare you.
tire. It's Joe's fault. So what if Joe's over 1,000 miles away? It's still his fault. And Joe just smiles and's like, yep, my fault.
Pretty much. I'm used to it.
Yeah, but you also know I'm joking.
That too.
Do you feel like these other 2 guys can't control themselves when it comes to you, though, Joe?
Oh, I know.
Like, they're very impulsive and on the fly when it comes to, like, make Joe feel bad. Make Joe feel bad.
Well, if you want, Phil, I can swap and make you feel awful.
Oh, thank you, buddy. It's a thought that counts, and I know he cares. Somewhat.
And his own.
I mean, if you're
special
feeling that
something.
left out.
I'm only ever truly angry on days I can't run. It's the truth. I'm noticeably more grumpy if I can't run.
Where did waterfalls come from, Joe?
I'm guessing you did 9 miles today.
6, but I did biking.
Oh.
They come from that awesome place that the gypsies come from, Kieran.
You know that's politically incorrect now.
What is?
Calling him
Yeah, that's
gypsy.
kind of racist, Joe. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, really? You're gonna tell me that?
Never mind.
Yeah. You're always.
Always talking about how I'm
I'm
always talking about how awesome they are, though.
That buddy.
I'm talking about how awesome they are, though. To be racist, I
Really?
have to talk about how much I hate them.
Yeah, but
You just-
no,
what do you like
gypsy
about
is a
him, buddy?
racial slur.
You're just gonna title
So-
this video, I'm so sorry.
It's like the Seinfeld gag. Like, aren't you racist for constantly talking about how awesome the Japanese are? Like, how am I racist if I'm talking about how awesome they are?
There's no
I'm
such
not
thing as a
racist,
positive
I'm prejudiced
racism.
against everyone.
I hate everybody equally. You're all sucking in my eyes.
You're kind of our Ron Swanson, buddy.
What's wrong with
Government
that?
sucks.
You know that
I'm probably the one who likes people the least because I'm the one who's in the animal rescue.
Carol.
I work retail. Are you kidding?
I see animals who have been seriously abused by people.
Hey,
I see people
And
I want
try
to
to make them
seriously
better.
abuse.
would
You're like
you,
one little broggy.
Kieran, you would think that regardless of where you work.
Yeah, but having to deal with them does make it worse.
excuse me. How much is
I mean,
this
on
£1
top of my
chocolate
shitty
cost?
co-workers, I have to deal with customers. I mean, ugh. And I have to be nice to customers. Do you realize how much that physically pains me?
Kieran, I have to wipe children's asses when they have accidents.
I
You're
want
a
to see
strange
Kieran
man,
smile
Joe.
now.
No, it's
No.
part of the job. So no,
Yeah,
so
he
don't
is dealing with toddlers.
so don't complain about shit like that, buddy. Because
You're a strange man, buddy.
and guess what,
know,
Kieran?
you knew what you were getting into when you took that job.
And guess what, Kieran? When I worked with special needs kids in their teens, I had to do it for them too. So yeah, don't complain, because
Bigger poops.
bigger poops, bigger asses to wipe.
Oh, and
I
a
had to repair a
lot more
sewage
pain from the
digester
violence.
once, and you think poop is bad? Wait until it's on fire, because it smells worse. It really does. And
Oh,
these things
yeah.
have been soaked in it for like basically decades. By the time I had to fucking work on it, shit's horrible.
Shit is indeed
I have
horrible.
done worse than that, unfortunately. So.
You're making me think of the ending of the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, where he made it out through the sewage pipe at the end.
I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
And he
Loves
has
it.
to go the hell out of there.
It's a good movie.
But take Broggy, for example. His little leg got broken at some point. And it was never treated. It was left to set wrong. The bones are not aligned anymore.
Stephen King is a weird man. How could
You
he give
think?
us? But I'm just saying, like, how could he give us such an emotionally powerful story like The Shawshank Redemption, and then give us some shit like it?
His quality's all over the place. In the 80s, he he wrote some very, very, very risque things. Again, you think the ending of it is bad, like this first 6 pages of Tommyknockers will blow your mind. He doesn't hold anything back.
And I read Tommyknockers when I was a teenager.
Does he do it just to see if he can get away with it? Because that's what it really comes off to me.
Well, he claims he doesn't write horror stories. He writes surreal stories. I'm like, shut up, King. Shut up, Steve. You write horror. To be honest.
Not always. Shawshank Redemption was not a horror story. Your favorite series, Dark Tower, that wasn't horror. That's sci-fantasy, I guess? Science fiction and fantasy?
I don't know, you call it really post-apocalyptic wasteland kind of like cowboy fantasy, maybe? With like a time travel twist to it, I suppose. Thing is, King kind of got off his rocker because he started thinking that was like his magnum opus. He thought it was like his greatest work. And everybody could have just told him like $5. Like, no, it's The Stand. It'll always be The Stand. Your best book is The Stand.
Does that count as horror, too? Because that's like more post-apocalyptic.
Kind of. That was one of his original big 70s novels. Still one of the best ones he's ever written.
That's why we'll never see the end of Randall Flagg so long as he's alive.
It's his most famous book.
And his most famous character. Like, what are we supposed to interpret with Randall Flagg from his appearances in the other books? That he's some type of interdimensional demon that's entering these other realities to screw around with the main characters of those stories?
In The Stand,
Why
it's
not?
kind of vague, but he's kind of supposed to be the devil in that. In most of the books, he's supposed to be a wizard called Walter.
But why do they call him the Man in Black? He's always just some dude in jeans.
No, he's the Man in Black in the Dark Tower. It's to obfuscate his identity, so you don't know who he is.
It's only
Yeah.
in that one. Does
It's
he
only in the
actually,
Dark Tower.
does he actually dress in black in that one, though?
Yes, he does. He basically wanders around a desert in a black cloak with tarot cards in his hand.
Say the Man in Black, and I think Johnny Cash.
I think that's exactly what the character was inspired by, though.
And even though it's Men in Black, not Man in Black, I think of the movie with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Which is another good movie we should watch.
Late 90s. Late 90s is kind of after the fact.
Would you say that movie kind of redeemed Tommy Lee Jones? Because he really sucked horribly in that Batman movie, Batman Forever.
Why would he redeem him? He just took a job and he just did a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the worst supervillain performance I've ever seen before, though, in my opinion.
Oh, we got the character wrong. It's not really the worst one, though. I've seen worse.
Really?
Here's how you play that character right, especially with Jim Carrey as the Riddler. You gotta make Two-Face like a straight mobster. Like, he has to be the straight man in that relationship. But Tommy Lee Jones is playing him like as a wacky, kill crazy guy, nearly as bad as the Riddler.
Tell you every single time, the best thing about Two-Face is the origin story. That's it.
You can do Two-Face right.
I don't think so.
I've seen him done right on the animated series.
It's stylish. He's a good character. It's just the origin story is way more fascinating than all of like the stuff that comes after. It's the tragedy of Harvey Dent that's actually the fun thing about the character. It's not anything to do with Two-Face.
You can say that about every supervillain, though. Like the origin story of Mr. Freeze is...
True, but Mr. Freeze is a compelling villain because you feel sorry for him.
You can feel sorry for Harvey Dent, too.
Not really.
I don't really feel sorry for anybody.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You've displayed empathy from time to time.
Not for people.
Keeping up appearances right now because you're publishing a video.
I have all kinds of empathy for dogs and cats and horses and llamas and...
This woman likes people. Don't listen to a word she's saying.
She's just going to edit that part out.
Yeah.
Damn right. I'm the one in charge of editing.
On the other hand, there is no actual joking around. I genuinely just dislike people. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
But you love us.
Yeah, you like me.
He loves making fun of me.
Come
These two
on.
are tolerable.
Come on, buddy. Reel it in. Big
Tolerable.
What about me?
I remember you saying you liked a lot of the people you met in Louisiana. No, wait, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you went to see Carol. You mentioned all these nice people you met there.
What are you talking about, Kieran? Okay.
Yeah. And I even remember people replying to your Facebook, like, we miss you, Kieran. Stay safe during the pandemic and all that stuff.
Take note of the silence, by the way.
The thing is, you probably saw more of those messages than I did. I don't use Facebook. I have one, I just don't use the damn thing.
Oh, I don't use it either. I just use to follow people. Like, every time somebody in my family posts a picture, I look at it. Every time a news feed comes up that I'm interested in.
I'm trying to raise money for a dog who desperately needs surgery to get surgery. So I'm using it a lot. I use it to network with other rescues and to post adoptable dogs. Internet's very important. Social media helps a lot when it comes to finding homes for animals that need them.
My other group of friends is actually watching The Host tonight at around 10, and I'm like...
Oh, good movie.
I don't want to watch that again. Like, I told them, thanks, guys, but that ending made me too sad. You know me, I don't like
things to movies.
I don't like seeing bad things happen to children.
Brave the Fireflies.
Oh, fuck that movie.
What a fun movie.
I mean, the ending to, is it The Mist or The Fog? I always get those two confused.
Mist.
The Mist.
I mean, that's gloriously.
There's only one kid in there.
Which I cannot see. And we all know why.
Yeah, that movie, that ending's kind of like a big FU, but...
Why, it's great. King loved it.
Yeah, like, no, King's gone on record saying, I wish I thought of that.
Yeah.
Considering, what point it's trying to make and whatnot, it's a good ending. It works for what it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah, it's a brutal punishment for like.
It's incredibly brutal, but it's a hard watch.
The original version, the ending they had for the short story was they basically just turned the radio on and just continue driving on into the fog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, the mist isn't in the story. So,
yes,
and they just leave it open ended at that because it's only a novella. It's only a short story.
Well, the monsters really aren't the point of the story. The entire story is supposed to be
It's
how
the
quickly
monsters inside.
Yeah, how quickly civilization deteriorates the moment we really don't have laws anymore in effect.
Take that, Species 8472.
Yeah, Joe.
If only you understood that reference.
No.
I still say there's like something wrong with Trek if you just keep using like people as aliens.
Well,
Makes
The
sense.
best thing
vaguely.
about 8472 is they used Ray Walston as their spokesperson.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, there's like
Loved
a
Ray
million
Walston.
species of ant. It kind of makes sense. There's a million species of like human or humanoids.
yeah, but look at how fantastical Star Wars is, and Star Wars is like populated by creation, design work. You know,
Here's the thing, Phil.
that thing has 7 heads. No?
Here's the thing, Phil, buddy. Phil, buddy.
buddy.
Star Wars. With I'm ignoring the Clone Wars cartoons and all that, and our new buddy Mando. Prior to the last decade, Star Wars has primarily been movies, and in movies you kind of have a higher budget, so you can actually go a little bit more ape shit with your alien designs. With Star Trek, it's a TV show, and TV shows had to be made a lot quicker and with a lot less money. That's why Bajorans only have a wrinkle nose and an earring. That's why a lot of Star Trek races are very lazily made. It's not because of the lack of creativity, it's the lack of money and the lack of time to implement that creativity.
There's another big difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Wars is science fantasy, whereas Star Trek is science fiction.
Oh, is that true? They actually gave him a name. Huh.
Oh, yeah.
The Undine. Is that what they're called?
Wait, who? What?
8472.
Oh.
Well, they're only given like a designation numeric in, to the ball game.
Yeah, species 8472. The board
Apparently,
designated them that.
apparently they're called the Undine.
What do you consider Mass Effect?
Yeah. No, Carol, fluidic space. That's why. Undine. Water. You get it? You get it?
Yeah.
What do you consider Mass Effect? Science fiction or science fantasy?
Some guy in a shack. You're writing a book. I think
Mass-
Casey Hudson originally only intended it to be like a novella thing. He only wanted to make one game, that was it.
But it's weird because there's elements of both in there.
The interesting thing, actually, Casey Hudson came up with Mass Effect in the same way that Red Dwarf was created. It's literally just a bunch of college guys, a bunch of friends. Yeah, getting drunk. Exactly. It's literally just a bunch of friends in a bar getting drunk. And then Casey Hudson gets the bar mat or like a little notepad from his thing. Okay, wait a minute. He tries to decipher the scribblings in the morning through his haze of agony.
See, I heard otherwise with how Mass Effect was created. Like, what was BioWare's big game prior to Mass Effect?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Very good. They really liked that game. They clearly succeeded because, Knights of the Old Republic is... You don't think they succeeded? Because everybody loves that game.
No, everybody loves the game. It didn't do well, the sequel. And the sequel was let out to a completely different company called Obsidian.
Well, that's
Chris Avalone made the sequel. They didn't want to even touch the sequel. They wanted nothing to do with it. It was their baby.
Their whole thing was, though, they wanted a Star Wars type game in a universe where they had complete freedom because they were limited.
Yeah. They wanted freedom.
They were limited by having their story set in the Star Wars universe. They couldn't do crazy shit like blow up Coruscant if they wanted to.
Disney just did that without even a care in the world.
Blame Abrams.
They keep making prequel stuff. They keep making stuff that's in like the sideways. After Return of the Jedi, before the bit of a kerfuffle called those 3 movies he just recently released. They want to stay clear of that, don't they?
I have a theory going on right now.
Bunnies? Is it bunnies?
That guy I like, Dave Filoni?
Yeah.
He's largely considered the dude who fixed the prequels now. With that Clone Wars show, it's phenomenal. Can't say enough good things about that show. People think he's doing that with now J.J. Abrams' sequel trilogy. Like, they're giving him as many side content shows as he wants. Just please fix J.J. Abrams' sequel
How
trilogy.
do you-
So
Okay, how do you fix that which has already been written and done?
the prequels were already done, and he freaking found a way to make that story work.
Okay, how do you fix it? How do you fix
How do we
something
get
which is
off
already
of this
broken?
topic of conversation? Just